exhibit in a museum. An old-fashioned relic of a war that ended more than 20 years ago. A silent, motionless ghost of a machine that once roared through the skies carrying men and bombs in a combat unlike anything that had ever gone before. From the day the war was declared, the number of young men eager to join the Royal Australian Air Force was far greater than could be accommodated. Most joined wanting to be pilots, and those who accepted other jobs did so in the hope of one day earning their wings. They expected a life of adventure, a chance to show initiative and courage in a war filled with glamour and excitement. For some, it was like this, and glory was won almost as fast as lives were lost. But for most, the looked-for thrills were missing, and instead there were long, cold hours spent flying around in dull routine. In the early days, it was a European war, fought halfway across the world from home, and the first job for many of them was to escort troop convoys across the Bay of Biscay. A constant watch had to be kept for U-boats and enemy aircraft, and the guns manned at all times in case of attack. For 8 hours at a stretch, and sometimes longer, they patrolled, cold, cramped, tense, peering into the glare for the first sign of danger. The major threat was the long-range German fighter planes, faster, better equipped, and flown by men well trained to attack.
This'll cheer you up, sir. Thanks very much.
In the event of an encounter, the pilot had no choice but to go low, for these flying boats were unable to defend themselves from below. If the attack continued, the only hope was to find a friendly bank of cloud and hide.
I got 388s at 1 o'clock. Hang on, we'll get right up to Starboard. What's the other two you blew in? You bet.
On the ground, Australian airmen shared with the people of London the horror of the Blitz. Every night the bombers came over, and every morning more of the city lay in ruins. But a counterattack was being launched on a scale greater than anything before. Eventually 1,000 planes a night would take off, bound for targets in Germany. Before each raid, in briefing sessions all over England, the navigators were told the way to approach their target. They were told also the safest route home. But everyone knew they wouldn't all need this second piece of information. For the ground crews too, the continuing raids brought a heavy burden of responsibility. Each time a plane was made ready, they prepared themselves to face a night spent in helpless concern for the men they had sent off. 1,000 planes, 1,000 crews in the air every night. Few of the men had been adequately trained for such an operation, and the figures showed that half of them didn't live through their first 4 operations. Those who did survive were battle-trained, tempered, and their chances from then on were better. The inevitable aftermath of each raid. Plane after plane failed to return, reported missing. And men who a few hours before were positive and forceful and vital now no longer existed. For a few, there was a second chance, and certain death was willingly exchanged for a life of recovery from injury and exposure. Despite the heavy losses, the operations were continued, and it became obvious to everyone involved that the chances of survival were slight. The only way to carry on was by disregarding the risk, stifling the instinct for self-preservation. New armaments increased the power to attack, and with the landing of Allied forces in Europe, came a change in the type of operation, from defensive bombing to direct intervention. Advancing troops had to be given air support, beachheads had to be defended, and the enemy's lines of support attacked and, if possible, broken. Long before the landing at Normandy, some RAAF squadrons had moved to bases outside England. Some went to Iceland to provide air cover for convoys to Russia. The primitive living conditions were inadequate protection from the cold, and outside the weather made the jobs of both air and ground crews a nightmare. Weather hazards of a different sort were met with in the Middle East, where Mussolini's boasted aim was domination of the Mediterranean. An RAAF squadron was part of the pitifully small and ill-equipped force which managed to hold back and eventually crush the Italians. But a sterner opponent entered the field. German forces quickly regained control, forcing the Allies back into Egypt. The spearhead of their attack, the Luftwaffe. For almost 2 years, the Germans had the upper hand in a battle which seesawed across the scorched face of North Africa. Air Force and Army alike slept where they could, often in slit trenches cut into the hard earth. And even on the move, there was no escape from the desert's own particular weapon, dust. Dust had become their element. By day they worked in it and ate it with their meals. At night, when the sands turned cold, they poured petrol onto the bare earth and set it alight, and dug themselves a hole to lie in until morning. But throughout the campaign, the Allies had been gathering strength, and eventually they were ready to launch a full-scale counterattack. For the first time, there were planes enough to cope with the situation. And the rout began with a heavy series of bomber and fighter-bomber raids, designed to cut the enemy's supply lines and communications. In the temporary aerodromes set up in the forward areas, the pressure was high. Planes had to be serviced and bombs loaded with maximum speed despite the lack of equipment. The physical strength of ground crews as well as air crews was taxed to the utmost. For the last 6 months of the campaign, the Allies carried out almost ceaseless bombing raids, followed by heavy artillery barrages, which drove the enemy further and further in retreat. Continued, planes provided air cover for the convoys. Hours of flying up and down the line on the lookout for enemy aircraft. The havoc caused by the raids lay all about, as the chase across Africa neared its close. Eventually, in Tunisia, there was no alternative for the Axis but complete surrender.